This is the last time I will have full, beautiful pregnancy hair. We'll see.
Did you?
Please not shaved. Oh God.
Did you experience hair loss when?
I did not.
Oh, I for sure did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Like when?
Like right after. It was like falling out in like clumps. It wasn't so like I did a lot of research into it. Some women literally get like bald spots. It wasn't like that. It was just like, you know how you have fallout when you wash your hair and stuff? Like, yeah, it was just like more than normal.
Yeah. So it's just pulling out hair.
Yes.
Whenever you wash your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got lucky in that respect as far as just in general, like the postpartum things that a lot of women, I definitely got a lot of them, but hair loss was not one of them. So I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. Very real chance that, doesn't happen the same way second time around, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isabel. How are you this morning, Boo?
This morning's been really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leap 6 driving you wild?
It's been a combo of a million things. Leap 6 has been really hard. Breastfeeding / pumping enough milk has been really hard. Mm-hmm. Just everything's really hard right now. I'm about to start this medication and I'm like really both excited and nervous. Like if it works, it'll be such a relief. If it doesn't, or if I get side effects, it's going to be worse than it is now. And I really think if this doesn't help me, I am going to transition to more formula. Yeah. I just can't. I just can't do it.
That's what I said yesterday. Do you want to give chat like kind of a little bit of backstory to that situation? Those who don't know.
Hold on. I just need to check if I'm live. I started my stream, but I don't know if I'm live.
Chat, is Steph live?
Oh, I'm live.
Here, I'm gonna invite you to squad stream then. Add channel. Okay, I just invited you. Yeah, Twitch took forever to send out my live notification this morning. I was live for like 6 minutes before people showed up, so it could be a Twitch thing.
Okay. I'm gonna tweet. Did you tweet yet?
Hi, Justin. I did tweet. And I also talked about how great my boobs look today. Bro, they're out. I didn't mean to, but I was like,
this is a really good picture.
It's the Blanky maternity shirts.
Okay, I need you to smile.
Oh, are you taking a picture?
Uh-huh. Oh, look at us. So cute.
We cute.
So cute.
Do you want to give chat a little bit of backstory as far as like what's going on with that?
So I've had a really very difficult breastfeeding journey. From
like the very beginning.
Yeah. So, and it's been so like the issue is it's been such a roller coaster. Like it's been so up and down in so many different ways. Hold on one second.
Just eating breakfast on the front page is fine.
We're talking Simone Biles today, right?
Mm-hmm. We got a 2-hour time block today, baby.
Hell yeah.
If you guys are new and tune in from the front page.
What's up,
say hi to us.
Heyo.
Heyo. We cool.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've had a really... Oh, yeah. Let's do a little intro. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for watching our podcast. This is the Steph Hayli show.
We always do this.
I know. This is the Steph Hayli show where we talk about things that pertain to our lives, hot topics, like current events. Sometimes we talk books. Sometimes we talk just about a little bit of everything. So today we're going to start the stream off with a little just like catching up like we normally do, just how our lives are going. We're both, I'm a new mom. Haley's a veteran mom with a new baby on the way. And so we talk a lot of mom stuff, but a lot of life stuff too. We talk about our partners. We talk about streaming and just general topics. And then we're going to move on the second hour of the stream into our current event topic, which right now we're decided to cover Simone Biles. If you guys don't know, she's a U.S. Gymnastic Olympian, and she chose to not compete in some events for her mental health. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm FemSteph. This is my co-host, Haley Nick. We're best friends. We live very close to each other, and we're awesome. So you should follow us and love on us.
That's our pitch.
There we go.
We're awesome, and you should follow us. So anyway.
So breastfeeding. So my mom was unable to breastfeed me. I was a formula baby. She just, claims that she raised a kid in the dark ages, so she had no idea about all the information that we have access to now, like calling in your supply.
Ages, no internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what dark ages?
So like calling in your supply and being able to power pump and just like stuff like that. That information just didn't exist. So she just didn't have enough milk, and instead of waiting to try and figure it out, she just transitioned me onto formula, and I turned out perfectly great. So I am by no means apprehensive about formula in general. But when I started breastfeeding Cohen, first of all, my milk came in late. So my milk didn't come in till like 4 or 5 days. Right. So
that late, really?
Yeah. I think day 4. So it's typical for babies, newborns, like fresh out the womb, to drop a couple pounds or whatever, like a couple ounces right when they are born, and your milk supply is coming in. Some women, their milk supply comes in immediately. Some women, it takes a little bit longer. But in the meantime, your body produces something called colostrum, which is like this jam-packed, nutrient-dense substance, right? And there was like a day in between where he started, because you check in with your pediatrician like 2 days after your baby's born. You like already set up an appointment, really just quick. Like do a weigh-in and all this stuff, right? So he lost like 9%, and they get nervous when it goes down to 10%. So my lactation consultant was like, hey, in the meantime, here's some stuff you can do. You can manually express to try and get some stimulation, keep breastfeeding your baby even if you're not getting any milk. And then in the meantime, let's give him a couple ounces of formula just to, keep his weight up. So we were like, great. It worked like a charm. We literally weighed him the next day, and he had regained his birth weight, and my milk came in. Yay. Happy story, right? Well, a week into breastfeeding, turns out because I did so much stimulation on the front end, I ended up getting a crazy oversupply. So I have a really strong letdown, which means that when my mammary glands, let down my milk.
Technical.
Yeah, it was like a very strong rush, right? And this is a newborn baby with a stomach the size of like an almond. So he just couldn't really handle it. So it was like too strong for him. So then now we have this opposite problem where I have too much going on. So me and the lactation consultant worked really hard to like kind of dial it down a notch so that we'd have a better experience for both of us. Cause I was crazy engorged and it was very uncomfortable. Like it hurt so bad and whatever. So fast forward like another month, we've dialed it in. Things are going great. He's great. I'm great. I'm really enjoying breastfeeding. And by the way, don't let any of those nice moms who have a really great experience fool you, because it is totally plausible that it will hurt like a bitch. It was like razor blades were coming out of my nipples in the beginning.
I can't wait to breastfeed again.
The first, I feel like
so excited.
I feel like you won't have the same issue your second time around.
You don't think so?
I've heard that it's not the same.
Look it up.
Yeah, you should look it up.
Is breastfeeding painful with second baby? Nipple soreness is generally better with a second baby. In fact, many moms who had nipple soreness or pain with their first report having no pain at all with their second. If they do have pain, the soreness normally goes away within a week or so.
I mean, mine went away within a week, so hopefully you don't have that.
With Hazel, I'm not exaggerating. It was a full month.
Oof.
It
I
was
don't
a
know how
full
you
month
did
of
it.
nipple pain.
It was
Like, quite literally,
excruciating.
Rick would bring me to her, or bring her to me when I was sleeping because she needed to eat, and I would like start crying because I knew it was gonna hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And I would like, she would latch, and I would be just in tears, sobbing until the pain subsided. It was miserable. I hated it.
It was some of the, and again, I passed an effing kidney stone. Okay. And I gave birth for 20 hours. So that was doable in consideration. It literally felt like someone was ripping my nipples off. It was awful. Anyways, so
Terrible.
we're having this great experience. It's been like a month, 2 months, whatever. It's going great. And then we noticed that he's pretty on the little side. Like, he's a pretty little guy, you know, all these, and they say never compare your kid to anyone else's kid. But there are things you notice as a parent. So all these, you know, babies with these gorgeous rolls and these like chubby cheeks. I'm like, well, my baby doesn't quite look like that. So anyways, you always have these, you have a lot of checkups when they're really little. So we take him in. Turns out he's losing percentiles in weight, right? So again, it's all a ratio based system, but they want you to have your kid grow on a scale. So they want your kid to keep, so if your kid's born like 20th percentile and they stay in the 20th percentile and they don't dip up or down, like that's considered good healthy weight gain, right?
Yeah.
It's when your kid starts dropping percentiles that it's clear that they're not getting enough of whatever they need. So he was born like 60th percentile. He was like 7 pounds 12 ounces. Yeah, he was 7 pounds 12 ounces. He was almost an 8-pound baby. Oh my god.
He was a big baby.
Big baby. And so he was down, at the very end, he got down to the 13th percentile. And again, there was all these things where we weren't super, super concerned because he was getting enough volume, which means after he would breastfeed, he was very happy. He was very active. He was smiling. It's not like he was crying and fussy all the time. He seemed full, right?
Right.
And then
like diapers, all of it.
Yeah, diapers, the normal amount of diapers, both solids and liquids. And it seemed to be going well. So we weren't sure why he was dropping so many percentiles. So I'm working with lactation. I'm working with my pediatric. And then they refer me to a infant nutritionist. So now I'm talking to an infant nutritionist and they're like, well, here's the reality is that this is my best guess, right? He's probably getting enough volume from breastfeeding. The issue is most likely because you're so thin, you're not producing milk with enough calorie content for him. So think baby needs whole fat milk and you're giving him like 2%. And I'm like, well, and again, the whole time while this is happening, I'm like freaking out. I ask Brennan, ask Haley. I'm having a really hard time with it. There's nothing more stressful as a new mom when you're the sole provider of nutrition for your infant baby and your baby's not gaining weight. Like, I felt like such a failure in like the utmost capacity. I was just like, I'm not doing what I need to do as a mother. I'm not giving my kid enough food. Like, I'm clearly doing something wrong, right? And so it was just really, really, really hard. And so my nutritionist was like, here's what we can do. There's a really easy fix for this. We can just start fortifying your milk. So what that means is I pump milk, right? Say I pump 5 ounces. I put that milk in a bottle and then I take formula and I add it straight to the milk. So normal babies that don't have weight gain issues, well, you absolutely 100% follow the instructions on the formula bottle, on the formula can, right? Like, it's there for a reason. It's a very specific amount of calorie intake for your growing baby. Well, because we're trying to fortify my milk so that there's the appropriate amount of calories per like liquid serving, we decided to do that. And so that meant I had to transition from exclusively breastfeeding, which meant he was only getting milk straight from the boob. And I had to switch over to exclusive pumping, which is my OB. So I had a conversation with my OB yesterday, which I'll get into, but she literally called it torture. That's the word she used. She's like, oh, this is torturous for you. And I like, it's this very taxing mental game where you have to set aside time. So my pumping sessions are anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes, depending on how much I'm able to pump, right? And you have to set aside that much time every 2 to 3 hours of your day. 2 to 3 hours. You have to sit there for up to 40 minutes all day long. All day long. I literally can't do anything else. I have to only be able to do things in like 3-hour increments.
Miserable. I don't care what anyone says.
It's miserable. It's not a fun thing. And there's this, it's very, like, again, very mentally taxing because you sit there hooked up to this machine that is quite literally extracting milk from your body. It's really hard not to feel like a cow, right? It's really overwhelming. And so I bite the bullet, and at first I'm like really into it. I'm really okay with it because my kids get like the mental relief of my kids getting enough food was worth the physical taxation of pumping. And so it worked like a charm. He was, all of a sudden, his legs were chunking up, his cheeks are chunking up. He's like getting these little rolls all over him. And it's such a huge relief. I'm like, thank the stars and heavens, like, woohoo, right? So then it's not, see, Dandino says it perfectly. It's just one thing after another. I know. So a side effect of exclusive pumping versus breastfeeding is you're no longer attached to your baby when you're extracting milk. And one of the ways that your body calls to your brain and says, make more milk, is you're having this skin to skin contact with your baby, which produces oxytocin in your brain, which tells your body to make more milk. Okay. So now
wait a minute. I actually didn't know that. That was skin to skin is a part of what makes that happen.
100%. And now that I'm not doing it anymore, and now that Cohen's to the age where he's a little wiggle worm, and the last thing he wants to do is just like snuggle into my chest. He's go, 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 go. He's learning how to crawl. He's learning how to sit up. All he wants to do is like run around, right? So it's really hard for me to get that skin to skin time with him. And because of that and other reasons, I'm sure, all of a sudden my milk supply has tanked. It's decimated, right? And there's a lot of reasons for it. I could be getting my period back. There's like a hormonal change affects your milk, right? So like, get this. It's mind-blowing to me. You are the sole provider for your child's nutrition, and then once a month your body's, as a woman, as you postpartum get back into the swing of things, experience a period, and that hormonal shift tanks your milk supply. Even if you are an overproducer and you get a boatload of milk, your period will tank your milk supply. Like that.
I feel like a lot of people don't know that too.
Yeah. So then,
how much it's affected.
So then you have a week out of the month. There's only 4 weeks in a month, and you have 1 week dedicated to that. And so like my lactation is like, well, if it is your period and you know it's coming, you're going to really have to start preparing for that. So you're not to pump like crazy the week before. So I'm like thinking, okay, so there's 2 weeks out of the month where I'm just going to be attached to my pump nonstop, and I get 2 week break where things are like quote unquote kind of normal. I'm like, this is miserable. And then, so I don't know. At this point, I'm on my last ditch effort. There's a medication that women can take, and I guess it's like an anti-nausea medication or something. I don't know. I can't really remember what she said it was, it's called Reglan. Reglan. And so my OB was like, hey, I personally have never prescribed it to someone this far into postpartum. Usually we prescribe it to women who like milk never comes in the beginning, right? So like you're 2 weeks postpartum and your milk supply just never comes in. So this is something that can really kickstart that.
Yeah, but your prolactin levels were low.
Yeah, so that's what they test. Your prolactin levels are like a huge thing that's tied into breastfeeding. And I think it's tied to your pituitary gland, and it signals your body to make milk. So she's like, here's the thing. I'm going to run a bunch of blood tests because, again, there are literally 300 things. So if you are anemic and your iron is low, which is really common for women in pregnancy and postpartum, that can tank your milk. If it is hormonal and imbalance, it could be your IUD we put in, and we could potentially take that out and see if that helps. And if it doesn't, then you have to put it back in. And I'm just like,
Oh,
I don't
God.
want to do that. And then
Which is already so miserable as
I know,
it is.
right?
The insertion is not a fun experience.
It's not a fun experience. And then it could be like this. It could be your thyroid. So a lot of women experience hyperactive thyroid postpartum, and that creates stuff like weight loss, and it'll inadvertently affect your milk supply, blah, blah, blah. So there's 1,000,001 things that it could be. So we run a full blood panel. Turns out I'm very healthy. Everything came back shining, except my prolactin levels. She said, if it's 70 or above, we can't help you. If it's 70 or below, we could potentially prescribe this medication to you and see how it works. So I'm like, great, let's try it. So my prolactin levels come back and it's at 65. So it is below the standard range for lactating women. So I'm like, okay. She's like, well, I want to call you about this medication because there are some serious side effects.
Of course.
And I'm like, oh, great. Break it down for me. And she's like, well, it's very rare, but in some instances you can get this thing called, what is it called? Extrapyramidal symptoms, I think is what it is. And it's a permanent twitch in your face. Yeah. Alongside gastric cramping, diarrhea, nausea, nervousness, sleep disturbance, enhanced feelings of depression, especially if used longer than 3 weeks. And I'm sitting here like, you've got to be joking, right? Like the amount of hoops that I have had to jump through just to have a normal like breastfeeding experience has been miserable. I have not enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for about a 2-month window. And then since then, all the issues that I've had, it's been really hard. Like I'm talking like nights in bed, bawling my eyes out, feeling really shitty about myself and really shitty about me being a mom. And already that's something you should be worried about postpartum, because postpartum depression is a real thing. So then you're also sitting there having to decide, am I experiencing PPD or is this just like anxiety due to breastfeeding? And then it's just this whole gambit, right? Anyways, long story short, I'm going to get on this medication. It's going to be my last ditch effort. It's pretty quick turnaround. You're only on it for 20 days total. It's like a very temporary thing that like boosts and then will carry you through. Again, he's 8 months, right? In a couple days. So my goal has always been a year. They tell you, they recommend to breastfeed for at least 1 year if you can. So once the year is there, I'm done breastfeeding. If he wants to keep drinking bottles and have formula, that's totally fine. But like, I'm done breastfeeding. I had a year.
Right.
That was my goal, and I would like to do that.
I feel like we should also talk about why you're...
Yeah.
Like I think we should talk about, Hazel is just screaming in the background. I feel like we should talk about why you've stuck it out this long with how much you've been through, because I asked you this yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to sound stupid. Why don't you just switch to formula, right? You were a formula baby. You said how right off the bat, there's nothing wrong with it. You think it's great. And this is something that people probably don't know, but your answer makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I would have switched formula. And again, he's mixed. So we are mixing formula and breast milk. And there are times where I give
look
him...
at all you've gone through.
Yeah.
Just to keep
So for
breast
me,
milk,
the
right?
big thing right now is I am vaccinated. And there are preliminary research studies that are showing that infants who are nursing with mothers who are vaccinated are receiving antibodies for COVID-19. And the first study that was conducted lasted 3 months, and they found a healthy amount of COVID antibodies all the way through the end of the 3rd month. So the study ended. So the conclusion of the research journal that was published, though, said there's a very good chance that the antibodies will continue through following months. We just don't have the evidence to support that because, the research ended at 3. But like with everything that's happening right now with the Delta variant and all of that, like it feels so irresponsible of me to not try within every might of my body to give my kid, antibodies to a freaking world pandemic. So that is what's my driving motivating factor right now. And it's hard to say like how much breast milk he needs to ingest to continue to get the protection that he's currently getting. So I'm just trying to do the best I can and give as much as I can, you know? But yeah, it's been really hard.
It's like, I feel like you really just opened a lot of eyes in your explanation of everything, because so many people don't really know really anything about breastfeeding unless you have been a breastfeeding mom or you have somebody in your life who has breastfed a baby, and just all of the science and the cool shit that comes from it, and like why it's so good for your kid versus like formula is awesome too. Obviously, like they've come a long way with formula over the years, but like fun fact, your body naturally, so like let's say I get sick, okay? Let's say I get the flu and I'm breastfeeding my son. My body will automatically produce the antibodies to fight that flu and put it in my milk so that he is immune, right? So that he has a less likelihood of getting sick. So basically whatever you put in your body for the most part is going to transition into your milk. And so that's why they're like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to like go crazy drinking if you're breastfeeding and blah, 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 because baby's ingesting it, right? So same thing, you know, there's a lot of questions of, oh, okay, well, if I'm sick, is it safe to feed my baby? I don't want to get them sick. Actually, it's even more important that you nurse your baby if you're sick, because you're giving them the antibodies to fight whatever it is that you have. And so for Hazel's entire first year, she did not get sick at all with anything. Like, I got sick several times and it knocked me on my ass a few times, and she just never got it. It wasn't until she started daycare and literally like 3 days into her time at daycare, she got sick. And I was like, of course.
Yeah.
But I remember every time we went to see my pediatrician, who was a family friend, she was like, girl, your breast milk's doing work. You're protecting your baby. That's exactly what that is.
I'm actually
so
really...
there are a lot of benefits, which is why like I personally have so much respect for you for committing to it the way that you have, because you know it does kind of cycle around to COVID and how dangerous it is and how scary it is, and especially now knowing that the Delta variant is affecting children differently than the original one did, which really didn't affect children much at all. You know, our job as parents is to protect our kids to the best of our ability. And so if we have the ability to at least try, you know, in that sense, I mean, I just give you so much credit, because you've been through hell and back trying to make this work, and not many people would have ever given it the time of day. And especially with having one thing after another, and it's just not working, and it's not working. And
like... the other unfortunate part is like all of the like home remedies for it, because there's a lot. It's really interesting. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence with things like fenugreek and, you know, all these other herbal ingredients and stuff like brewer's yeast, and eating oats and eating this and that and the other.
So much oatmeal.
Yeah.
When I was nursing, I had overnight oats every single day.
I hate oatmeal.
Oh no!
Hate.
I love it.
I hate
so
oatmeal.
To eat it again.
2, brewer's yeast tastes like straight garbage. So you should have seen me on stream yesterday. It was hysterical. I'm there sitting, I'm trying to choke down oatmeal that has brewer's yeast in it, and I am literally dying.
Gagging.
So now not only am I like doing all this other stuff, I'm now eating shit that I hate, right? So
what do you hate about oatmeal?
It's a texture. It's a texture thing.
Yeah.
I just, and I will pour brown sugar or honey or whatever, and I will try whatever to make it taste okay. And it's just, it's no matter what it takes.
Have you tried overnight oats?
So the only one that I've really liked is steel cut oats.
Yes.
For some reason, I can do it's like crunchier, because there's like a crunch to the texture. I'm okay with it. And I just put like a lot of peanut butter in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Every night, it was like a weekly thing, because overnight oats last for a week in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
I would get like 7 mason jars, and I had a recipe, and it was like half a cup of oats, a cup of milk, peanut butter, chia seeds, like bananas, honey, and then I would just stick it in the fridge overnight. Oh, and cinnamon. I think that was what was in it. I still remember it to this day. It was years ago. because I'm so excited to make it again.
You have to send that to me so I can make it.
I will.
I'm now eating oats.
I'm not kidding. I was so excited to have breakfast every day because I loved this oatmeal so much. And I also love peanut butter and bananas. Like that's one of my favorite combos. So it just made so much sense. And yeah, I would literally be in the morning. I wake up, I pull out my oats, mix it all up, and then that was my breakfast. And the days I could actually see a difference in my milk supply from doing things like
yes. But it's all, again, it's anecdotal because researchers, it's like really, most researchers don't do research on pregnant women or breastfeeding women because there's just,
which means there's not a lot of info.
There's not a lot of scientific evidence to back stuff up, right? So your pediatrician or your lactation consultant or whatever is not going to tell you, go shove oats in your face because there's really no, science to back it up. Yay. So I'm out here drinking like breast milk tea now, which tastes like licorice, by the way, and I freaking hate licorice.
I hate licorice.
So now I'm like
God, why are you mean?
I'm eating all this stuff that I hate. I really don't like. I just don't like it. It's not my thing. I've tried it my whole life. I just can't do. I wish I could do oatmeal. It sounds so easy,
Do you hate Jaeger bombs?
Oh, despise.
My girl.
Ugh. Just licorice is just so not my thing. But I'm literally drinking 3 or 4 cups a day. So we'll see if it helps. I don't know. I ate like regular oatmeal yesterday. So I'm going to go to the store today and try and get some overnight oats. So send me that recipe. Seriously.
No, I will. I literally have it memorized. I could recite it to you if you want.
But yeah. So it's
are you still taking the legendary milk supplements?
Yes.
Which ones are you taking?
All of them. I cycle through them. So.
And do you notice anything?
I mean, right now, no. Okay. So at my height, I was producing like over 10 ounces in the morning, and I could, if I power pumped, which means you pump for 20 minutes, you are off for 10 minutes, you pump for 10 minutes, you're off for 10 minutes, and you pump for another 10 minutes. So basically what that does is it signals your body to have multiple letdowns, and then your body goes, oh, I need to produce more milk because there's a demand for more milk, right?
Right, which is also something we should explain to people who don't know. So if you guys aren't familiar with how breastfeeding works, it is a supply and demand situation. So if your baby's not hungry and your baby's not on the nipple or a pump is not on the nipple, your body is like, okay, well, there's not a need for milk. I'm not going to maintain the supply, right? So that's why when your baby starts sleeping through the night, the first few nights after they start, you wake up with really full titties because they're just full of milk and they're used to making milk at that time of day. And it's true. And then
I just love it. I'm more on the front page and you're just like, titties.
You know what? I said what I said. It's just facts, okay? And so over time, over like the next few days, you'll notice that they start to adjust and you're not so engorged in the mornings, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important to, if you're trying to build your supply or power pump or maintain or whatever, to at least stimulate somewhat so that way your body is remembering, okay, I still need to produce at this time. And so that's why, like, even at night, you're like, oh, well, people would ask me, they'd be like, well, why doesn't Rick just take over one of the night feeds if you have bottles? And it's like, yeah, that's fine, but that means I need to find another time of day to make up for that time that I wouldn't be feeding. And so what we did was we would add, like, Hazel would go to bed, and then before I would go to bed, I would pump. And so even though she wasn't actually awake or needing to eat, my body knew, okay, I need to have milk ready at this time of day. And that would be where I okay, I'm done. I put it in the fridge, and then
God, I wish that sounds so like such a luxury. I
feel very lucky. Your experience is making me feel very, very grateful.
I had 10 5-ounce bags in the freezer, and I'm down to 3. And I have not, since I started exclusively pumping, been able to put any away. And I've actually had to use some because I don't make enough milk now. So like I said, I was making 10 ounces in the morning, and I was pumping at least 5+ ounces throughout the day. And then if I power pumped at night, I could get another 10. That's huge. That's a lot of milk. Now I am pumping 6 ounces in the morning, which you're always going to have the most milk in the morning because your body's making milk all throughout the night. So whatever you're in the morning is going to be your highest, your peak, right? Which is not good for me because he's taking 6 ounce bottles. 5 ounces of that is breast milk, 1 ounce is formula, and then we're fortifying, right? So for me, he's eating 5 times a day. So I need to make 25 ounces throughout the day. And I'm not making enough. So I have 6 ounces. So 6 ounces in the morning and like 2 ounces at night, which is like nothing. Yeah. So his first bottle is using 2 ounces from the night, what I was able to store. And then of the 6 ounces, another 3. So that means I only have 3 ounces in the fridge. So now I'm trying to make up for the rest of the day. If I could get 5+ ounces at night in the fridge, it gave me enough cushion throughout the day that if I like had to push my pump from 3 hours to 4 hours because I was like doing a sponsored stream or something like that, I had enough cushion. And now I'm just constantly pumping to try and get enough. And last night, like I was in tears. I had one of the worst nights last night because I literally sat there and pumped forever and mind you, what makes this so hard for me is Brennan and I are doing split shifts right now. Brennan watches the baby in the morning and then I stream, and then we have like a little downtime together, and then Brennan starts his stream, and then I'm on solo mom duty. Solo mom duty at the end of the day where he's the fussiest because he's tired and whatever. While I'm trying to pump is miserable because I can't hold him. I cannot hold him anywhere near me while I'm pumping because he will yank all my cords out. He will yank the pump out and he'll do all this stuff. So, and I've tried to use the LV. I don't produce enough.
I was going to ask you.
The LV is like, it's really great if you're on the go and you have to like, you don't have an outlet, but you have to get at least the stimulation in, right? Mm-hmm. But the output between like a standard plug-in pump and the LV is not the same. And all the research I said is
it's hospital grade, right?
Yes.
Like you need a hospital grade pump in order to get.
So unless you're like an overproducer and it doesn't really matter, like and again, I've done a lot of research on this. So like a lot of women who have kind of similar scenarios where in the beginning it was great for them, but they just can't use it now because it's just not. So the difference between an ounce is monumental for us, right? Especially if you're struggling. So if the difference between plugging in is an ounce, I'm going to plug in. Right. So I'm sitting there, Cohen's, fussy, which means at that, again, it's a combo, right? We're being hit with the combo wombo right now. He is going through leap 6. He's starting to teeth. His teeth are finally coming out. So like, his hands are constant. He's chewing on his wrist. He's chewing on his fingers.
Everything.
You can see him sitting there and he's like pushing down on his gums. We're giving him like iced teethers now. And he just sits there and gnaws on them. So he's teething. He's going through leap 6. All this like developmental change is happening with him. He's learning how to crawl, which is exciting for him. He's learning how to sit up, which is exciting for him. So he's got all this like stimulus and he just doesn't want to sit still. So he's fussy and he wants to be held, but when he's held, he wants you to walk him around. And it's just like this whole ass thing. So I'm sitting there trying my damnedest to get enough milk for him and he's freaking out. And so I have to pull Brennan in. I'm like, Brennan, I need help. I cannot do this right now. I need you to help me. So Brennan has to
start calling me.
So Brennan has to.
When these things happen, you need to literally call me and be like, Haley,
you are literally in your last month of pregnancy. Like
I don't, Steph, you live 5 minutes from me.
But
I text you all the time. I'm like, you want to do this? You want to do this?
But it's not. But it's not like that. I literally need 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
And I will go over there and I will hold your baby and entertain him with Hazel while you pump in peace. It's not hard. I don't mind doing that.
Anyways,
smack you across the head.
So Brennan has to like walk up, wake up. He has to walk away from a stream. So he literally is like in the middle of a war zone game. He hides in a building and comes. He grabs Cohen. He goes into his office and he's like holding the baby. And I'm sitting there and he's like apologizing to his stream the whole time. So I feel super stressed out because I'm like, well, now I'm like fucking up his stuff. I'm screwing with his work. Blah blah blah. So I'm like stressing, right? And guess what, chat? Guess what stops your milk from coming out? Stress and anxiety. It's like this perfect circle, right?
It really is.
So whoever designed breastfeeding just really didn't do a good job here.
So here's a thought. I'm actually curious to know, because I think that you make such a good point, right? Like stress and anxiety is a big factor in a successful pumping and all of that. So what if hypothetically speaking, we managed to get you, even if it's just like a day, right? Like not even an overnight, but a day where you wake up in the morning, you feed Cohen, you do your thing, and you and I go and we go to a fucking hotel and we just chill for like a day. No, like we're not on the internet, we're not streaming, we're not doing anything regarding work. We literally take a day to just unplug and decompress. Okay? I would be curious to see what your milk supply looks like on a day like that, or if you'd even be able to like not stress while
I think
you're
I
away
would.
from him.
Yeah. I think being away from him and worrying, because again, I don't have a stash, right? So the entire time I'd be thinking about him not getting breast milk because I'm away.
Well, you said you have 3 bags, right?
But that's 3 feeds. He eats 5 times.
Right. That's why I was like, well, if you
Yeah,
if
but
you weren't
using
gone the whole
all
day,
3 bags in one
well,
day.
you'd be pumping, right? Trying to make up for that, regardless of whether or not like it's milk from the freezer or milk from your boob.
I
You
guess,
know what I mean?
but because I'm not making enough, I think it was just. I think
Well, that's my thing. Is like I'm wondering if the anxiety of like not having Brennan or like blah 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 of not having the help that you need would help you, like if it would increase your milk supply at all by not being in the area of chaos that is causing you said stress.
I think what will help my supply is, I think what will help me is if this medication just boosts me up enough to make enough milk, and then like again, I don't need to be pumping. It's like some mamas pump like 12 ounces every time, right? I don't need that. I just need 5 ounces every time. That's it. Just enough to feed my kid, and I'll be happy. I'll be so happy. Just enough to get him what he needs for what we are doing, and I will be super happy and less stressed out.
And what's great is that this medication you're talking about really is only a 20-day situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not like a long-term, you're on this the entire time that you're nursing. And so I think this is a really good option to at least try.
Yeah, and she
said,
then
if it doesn't work, you've committed 20 days and it's done, and then right?
Yeah, and she said she told me, she was like, hey, if you feel like you're having any of these side effects, she's like, this is not something you need to wean off. She's like, just stop taking it immediately and you should be okay. Like you'll be fine. Like if you start having diarrhea or whatever and you're like, nope, don't want to do that, then you just stop taking it.
So is today day 1?
I still have to go to the pharmacy. As soon as we're done with the podcast, I'm running to the pharmacy and I'm running to Safeway and I'm getting my meds and I'm getting some oats.
So excited for you to try this fucking oatmeal, dude. It's so good. I think the best part is it's literally like the recipe on the back of the Quaker box.
Yeah.
And I make it so good. But I mean, did you say how quickly the side effects can start? Can it literally be like day 1, boom?
I would imagine so, yeah. For stuff like stomach cramping, diarrhea, yeah. But again, I'm curious. She said 1 week. She said if you do not notice a significant increase in 1 week, stop taking the medication.
I don't think she doesn't want you to take.
No, she just was giving. She was just giving me all the. She's like, this is like standard. She was actually very supportive of me taking it.
Really?
Yeah. She's like, dude, because she's a mom too. She was actually pregnant when I first started seeing her. Yeah. So, she just had her kid when we started our pregnancy journey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And speaking of that, not to change the subject, but it got me thinking with all the COVID stuff about how when you delivered Cohen, you had to wear a mask while you were in labor. Yeah. And I explicitly asked my doctor at my appointment, I was like, hey, I'm vaccinated. Are you going to make me wear a mask while I'm pushing? And I love my OB. I'll tell you what, my doctor out here, I really loved my doctor back in Phoenix, and I was really sad to leave her. But I love my doctor here even more. Good. She is so cool. And she was like, listen, are you vaccinated? Yes. Great. If you're vaccinated and they give you the COVID rapid test when you get there and it comes back negative, you will not have to wear a mask. Like, we'll have it in your file that you're vaccinated. It won't be an issue. Like, don't worry about it. But now that shit's hitting the fan again, I'm like, I swear to fucking God, if all these people who aren't getting vaccinated make it so I have to wear a mask while I'm pushing a human out of my body, I will be so pissed.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that in the next like 5 weeks that she doesn't change her mind on that, because I know that I have it in my brain, the picture that Brennan sent me of you after pushing Cohen out with him on your chest while you were still wearing your mask, and I was like, oh my God,
Oh
like
yeah.
what a photo, what a moment.
So so my OB was like this. Hey. So I had to have not even a mine was not a rapid test. Mine was like a full test. I got COVID tested. So did Brennan before, like 2 days before my induction date. Right. And then I don't remember. Did we get rapid tested when we got there? I can't remember. But anyways, we had a negative test on file. We go in, we're wearing masks, we're masked the whole time. And again, I got induced, right? So 16 hours worth of my labor was not active pushing. I was just like chilling in a room, like hanging out, which wasn't bad. The mask part wasn't the issue.
Okay. I want to talk to you more about that. Let's keep going.
4 hours of pushing, like my OB did say this. She was like, hey, you are required to wear a mask while you are in labor. If you pull the mask down to take a deep breath while you are pushing, we are not going to like force you to put the mask back on. So there is a little bit of leeway. Yeah, because everyone in there is masked up. I'm clearly having a hard time, right? My baby wasn't 2 pushes and out like yours. I was 4 hours of just like the most brutal, intense physical activity of my entire life. So yeah, I definitely pulled the mask down several times, especially by the end, because I was like gasping for air. I was so exhausted and just gassed from pushing for so long that I would like pull it down and go and get enough air, and then I would have to put it back up while I was actually pushing. It was awful. It was awful. But yeah, and then the other thing is like, so we were allowed to take our masks off when it was just us in the recovery room. If as soon as a nurse would knock on the door, we would have to put a mask back on and be masked up while the nurse was in our room.
And I feel like they'll probably still have a lot of those protocols when we're there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Which
is fine. Like, we'll do what we have to do. But even like, so when I delivered Hazel, it was like a fucking fiesta in the delivery room, tell you what. Mm-hmm. It was like me, Rick, Lexi, my friend Jessica, and my mom were all in the room. And I'm like, I didn't want that many people in there, but whatever.
I don't think you can.
That's how it happened. You can't.
Yeah.
So that's what I ended up asking. I didn't even ask. My OB was like, so just FYI, like with COVID, this is the rule. Like, you can have one support person there the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So Rick. Mm-hmm. And then as of now, unless this changes, you can have a second support person who will be there throughout your labor up until 2 hours after you deliver, and then they have to leave.
So that's new. That's new. So
yeah,
you're giving birth at the same hospital I gave birth at, right?
Hospital.
Yeah. So that's new. You're very lucky because for me,
if they keep it again, I have 5 more. This is part of the, like.
You're telling me.
Part of me wishes that I were getting induced even earlier, so that way I could like take advantage of these while they're still there. You know what I mean?
You're telling me. So for my rules, it was one support person, period, and they cannot leave the hospital. Like, they can't leave and come back. Like, they have to stay in the, like, once you're checked in, you know?
So when did they start you? How dilated were you when you got induced?
Shit, I don't remember. 4 centimeters, maybe?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
And then they kept me on Pitocin until I was 8 centimeters, and then
like when you got induced, it was literally like checked you in, they put your IV in, and immediately started Pitocin. They didn't need to do any other kind of dilation for you.
Probably correct. Not. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm wondering, is because
and I had a membrane sweep too.
Yeah.
So
because so for the record, for those of you guys who don't know, I went into labor naturally with my daughter. And my son, I'm planning on getting induced a little bit early, for a variety of reasons. The main reason being he's a big boy, and I'm having a really, really difficult pregnancy. I mean, it's a variety of things, but my doctor is completely comfortable delivering, up to a week early, between 39 and 40 weeks. There's no discrepancies as far as any like reason the baby needs to stay in.
It's actually
longer than
real.
that.
My OB said that right now the research is saying it's actually it's like standard practice for OBs to recommend inductions at 39 weeks. There's no reason to go to the full term 40 weeks.
Right. And so for me, I was like, you know, I liked the fact that I was able to deliver naturally with Hazel, as far as like, yeah, you know, we did a membrane sweep, and then 3 days later I was having contractions, right? And then that's when we went in, and I was 4 centimeters when I was admitted. And they ended up giving me a little bit of Pitocin while I was there anyway to help speed things along.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting, and this is kind of where my question, I don't even know what the exact question is, but just more so your experience with inducing. Because there's this YouTuber I follow. Her name is Ellie Darby. She's British and so sweet, and her family's so cute. And she just got induced with her son. It was a 3-day induction process. She literally, I think she was like maybe a centimeter dilated, and they had to do the balloon. And so that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, she just was not progressing. And then finally at the last minute, her doctor came in and was like, hey, if you don't progress like quick, like we need to start seeing progress here, we're going to have to talk about doing a C-section because the baby's going to be under stress. And then luckily some miracle happened. And then like within the next 30 minutes, she went from like a 3 to a 7. It was crazy. So anyway, I know there's experiences like hers where she was on Pitocin the entire time and it just did not do what it had to do. But then for me, once they started me on Pitocin with Hazel, it was like wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Well,
like
that's because
she showed up 5 minutes later.
Yeah, but that's because you were already in natural labor. So
is that why?
Yes, 100%.
So for you said you were on Pitocin for 16 hours.
Yes.
Before active labor.
Mm-hmm.
So it took you 16 hours to go from a 4 to a 10.
This is what happened. And I regret it so much now. But so my OB was like, she was very adamant. She was like, hey, it's like the research is saying I'm very pro. I'm in this camp, right, where I really think that I strongly recommend we scheduling an induction date at 39 weeks. And I was like, no, I want it to be natural. Like, I want my baby to come when he's ready. I will schedule an induction when I'm past my due date. I was very adamant about this. I don't know why, thinking about it back now.
I did the same thing with Hayes.
And I was just like, because I just want to, it's my first kid. I don't know what's going to happen. And you're also terrified, right? You're like days away from this like very traumatic experience. You're like, kind of like, no, it'll happen. It'll happen when it happens, right?
Yeah.
And I had such an easy, smooth, wonderful pregnancy that I was like, oh, it'll happen. And my mom, again,
Bless.
Oh God. I had this really naive thought process because everyone's like, oh, if you want to look at a roadmap from your pregnancy and your labor, you should look at your mom, right? My mom, from the moment she started like dilating, like contractions and stuff, to having me like full on out, it was 4 hours total. So like contractions and pushing, it was just a very short process. So I'm like, cake. Okay. So we get past my due date and COVID is a thing. Remember this. So we get past my due date and she's like, okay, well, we really need to induce because you're really small and he's getting really big and we need to get him out. And I'm like, okay, great. So
did they think he was bigger than he was?
We didn't know.
Okay.
I was so small. He wasn't showing that he was that big. We had no idea he was going to be almost 8 pounds. 8 pounds, dude.
He has the hiccups right now.
Oh, I missed
Sorry.
that.
I was like, what am I feeling?
And
anyway,
so they're like, hey, here's your induction date, right? I'm ready. I'm freaking out. We're going in at 6 a.m. It's happening, right? I get a call at 4 a.m. We're sorry. We don't have enough beds. Too many active labor moms have come in. We'll call you back around 3 p.m. and see if we can bring you in the afternoon. I get a call at 3. We're sorry. We have no beds. 4 a.m. tomorrow. Or 6 a.m. tomorrow. I get a call at 4 a.m. the next day. We're sorry, we have no beds. There are too many active labor moms who are consistently coming in for us to see you. And this goes on. I get pushed back like 4, almost 5 times. So this is an extra 2 days. So I'm now like 6 days late or something like that. Almost a full week past my due date. So he's almost 41 weeks.
And then 41 weeks is considered late term.
Yes. And so finally, I go in. Again, 2 weeks before my due date, I got checked and I was already 2 centimeters along. So again, I'm in my head. I have this like, it's happening. It's already happening. 4 days before my due date, I got sweeped, right? I got a membrane sweep. And I'm like, it's happening. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. I get there. They're like, you're already like 4 centimeters. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to start Pitocin. I'm going to push twice and he's going to be out, right? No. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So they put me on Pitocin. I'm apparently like a goddess of pregnancy, though, because I don't feel contractions. No joke.
The epidural.
No. 16 hours, I had no medication and I did not feel a single contraction.
Oh, it was when they broke your water.
Yes.
That's when.
But I already had the epidural before that. So literally, I have 2 nurses, right? Because one is like, was formerly a nurse in another specialty, and then she was switching specialties to be an OB nurse or a delivery nurse or whatever. So I had like a delivery nurse and then this nurse that was shadowing her. Basically, I had these 2 women and they were hilarious and so cute and so sweet and so funny. And so they were my main nurses, right? And we were doing like, they were like my doulas too. I got very special treatment. They were like helping me do like these exercises and these stretches. Like I was like upside down at one point. She was like wiggling my tummy. Like it was like really funny. But anyways, so I'm doing all this stuff and they're like so excited and they're like jazzed about it. And then they're like, okay, we have a really big contraction coming because you're hooked up to all these like monitors. And so you can see when the contraction comes in. She's like, do you feel that? And I was like, no, not really. And she goes, what do you mean? And I go, I mean it kind of like a little like maybe a little uncomfy. And she's like, no. I don't think you understand what I just said. That was a major contraction. Did you feel that? And I go, honestly, not really. She was like, it's like less than 1% of women don't feel pregnancy contractions, right? And I was like, am I less than 1%? And so then she has the audacity to suggest that I do an all natural labor though. And I was like, let me stop you there.
Bitch, sit down.
I don't care if I am Wonder Woman. If this shit starts getting crazy, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. And so what happened most likely is that I just had a lot of amniotic fluid. And so it was really just cushioning them a lot. But I got to the point 16 hours in where she was like, there's not much else we can do. We have given you as much Pitocin as your body can handle. Like it's at the height. So if they give you too much Pitocin, what ends up happening is you have irregular contractions, and that's bad, right? That you want to have contractions at a very regular interval so that you can know when to push and stuff like that, and you can progress steadily. And so they got me to the point where too much of it was giving me irregular and too little of it was, so I was like right at the sweet spot, but it had been 16 hours and they're like, it's going to go this slow. If we keep doing this, we can absolutely do that. But like realistically, this might be like a 30-hour labor. Or the alternative is we can break we can pop your bag and that'll really kickstart stuff. And I'm like, okay, it's been 16 hours. I'm done doing this. Let's pop the bag, but I want my epidural first. So they bring the anesthesiologist. She comes in at 2 a.m. and she's like, why is it so calm in here? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I've been doing this for like 27 years and I have never, ever come on call at a 3 a.m. Request for an epidural and had just like serene chillness in here. She puts it in. It's great. I feel fine. Thankfully, it works as intended. I feel it on both sides. They pop the bag and it's like go time, right? And my nurse is like, oh my gosh, I can already see the head. Brennan, do you want to see the head? And I'm like, woo! I'm like 8-something centimeters. My baby gets stuck. Okay. I'm small.
Full on stuck.
Yes, I'm small. My baby was cooking for an extra week, so he's real big now. He's got a big ass head. He gets stuck on my pubic bone. So his head just won't get far enough along that every time I push, he would kind of come out, and then as I would relax, he'd go back in, right? He just couldn't get past this little road jam that we had. So I end up having to push for 4 straight hours. And I'm talking, so you're having a contraction every 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And I'm giving it all I've got, right? Literally pushing as hard as I possibly can in
4
that
hours.
In a 30-second to 2 minute interval for 4 hours straight. And I was just like, this is, and again, there's no pain, not like real like pain, but there's like physical angst. I can still feel everything that's happening. There's just like a dullness to it, but I feel all the pressures and all the whatever. And I'm exhausted. I've never been so tired in my entire life. I'm sobbing. I'm like in hysterics at this point. I'm just so done. I'm so over it.
Well,
I don't know what else to do.
I remember texting Brennan too, because Brennan was keeping all of us updated as far as where you were.
Yeah.
And I was like, every time like another hour would pass, I'll be like, oh my God, he's here. He's got to be here. Brennan probably just hasn't texted us. Like it's probably happening. They're just in the newborn bubble. And so I would text him and be like, well, update. And he'd be like, we're still pushing. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Every single time he said that, I could not believe it.
It was rough. It was rough. But yeah, so like most women who, just so you know, who don't start active labor naturally and get put on Pitocin, generally speaking, have a long non-active labor. But again, if you pushed and she was out, like every single one of my doctors, nurses, everyone said your second pregnancy will inherently be a lot easier if it's also vaginal, because your body has created the roadmap. So for you, if it was
funny is my doctor literally was like, oh, how long did you push with your daughter?
Yeah.
And I was like 3 minutes. And she goes, oh, so we're gonna have to play catch with this one.
Like you're probably gonna push once and baby number 2 is just gonna walk out.
You think so?
Yes.
Well, but see, the thing that sucks about that is that when your body doesn't have a lot of time to adjust to the baby being delivered, right? Because your baby starts out in utero, right, and has to go through the cervix opening, through the vaginal cavity, and out into the world. Like as labor progresses, if you do it slowly, right, your body stretches around the size of the baby. So if baby comes like wham bam thank you ma'am super fucking quick, your body does not have enough time to accommodate, and so in turn that's where tearing comes into play, and that's what happens more often. And so same thing with Hazel. 3 minutes, that was not very long, and luckily it wasn't a super bad tear, but it was a tear. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to do it again.
Well, and then that's the other thing, it's like so I was not tearing, and he was saying,
oh my God, I know what you're about to tell, and I'm like cringing already having to hear it, because I know what it's gonna. Oh, go ahead.
So I was not tearing, and it was actually Brennan. This is his fondest moment of labor, by the way. Is my literal. Okay, that's the other hard part. Is my doctor scenario. I didn't have my OB who'd been treating me my whole pregnancy deliver my baby. So
you had like 4 of them, right?
She works in like a co-op practice where you know there's like 5 doctors, and they each have like an on-call time, and then as their shift changes, the like OBs who are delivering change. It's very, very common, right? So I have this woman, and then the person who delivered my baby is like this. He walks in, he's like this 6'5", very athletic man, and this is the first time I've ever had a male OBGYN for my lady parts, right? And so I'm just like, at this point, again, I'm 3.5 hours in. I'm full spread, just like pushing my little heart out. And this like big dude walks in, and he's like, all right, let's see what's going on. And I'm just like, you've got to be at my most vulnerable. It's just
literally like, legs spread on the table.
Yeah. So at that point though, I could not muster enough shits to give. I had no fucks left, right? So he's all up in there doing his business, and he goes, okay, well, here's the thing. Your baby has been in this position, stuck in the canal for a long time now, and we're starting to see signs of distress. So, and he goes, you have a perineum of steel. I just wouldn't tear it. No matter how hard I was pushing, it wouldn't tear. So he's like, you have 2 options. I can either like vacuum your kid out, which is when they take this like suction device and suck it to his head and then pull him out, or I can give you an episiotomy, which will take 15 seconds and your baby will just be out immediately. And I said no to the vacuum. I did not want my kid to have a cone head. If you had a vacuum, many blessings, but I just was not into that idea. So I was like, no, give me a couple more minutes, get a couple more tries, because his stats went back to normal. So then push him. And he's like, okay, well, again, I have to bring it up again. Do you want to do this? And I literally, Hayli, the words came out of my mouth. I said, yes, let's do it. So he's prepping for it. He's getting the tools ready. And I'm like, I'm having another contraction. So he turns back and he's like, okay, push. And I'm thinking, no episiotomy.
Hey, dude, like a whole battle cry. I'm imagining you screaming that into while you push.
And so like I was a really good push. He goes, you actually made really good progress. If you can give me one more of those, he will crown. And so I'm like sitting there. You don't understand. I'm hysterically bawling.
Like in tears.
Okay, one more push. He's like, here's your contractions coming. And I'm like, no, there's no sound coming out of me. It's just like this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so
that face used to be an emo.
Yeah,
Somebody took a screenshot of Steph's face there. Please.
No, and then okay, you guys, it gets worse. If you didn't think,
oh God,
if you didn't think it could get worse, it got worse. All right. So I crown, which is like everyone's like clapping and everyone's so excited. So crowning is when like his head comes out a little bit, right? And so when you crown, the whole circus comes in. All of the nurses, the infant nurses, the whatever, the people that are cleaning up stuff and doing this. So there's like 12 people in my delivery room. And my contractions stopped for 7 minutes. 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
I know this.
Yeah.
7 minutes?
7 minutes. I'm sitting there crowned for 7 minutes and my contractions stop. So I cannot push until I have another contraction. So I have 12 people standing there just cringing. Just cringing. Like, oh, no. And they're starting to like say words of encouragement. They're like, any minute now, honey. Any minute now. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? What is happening? Why is it? And they're like, sometimes this happens. Sometimes it hang in there, honey. And I'm just like,
miserable. Meanwhile, what's Brennan doing at this point?
He's freaking out. He's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. He has the audacity while I'm pushing still. So finally my contractions start up again. And my doctor was like, oh, it'll take like 2 pushes and he'll be out. It did not take 2 pushes. I had to push for another like couple minutes. So Brennan goes, baby, give it all you got. And I literally stop pushing. And I look at him and I go, what the fuck do you think I've been doing? And it's just silent in the delivery room. No one says a thing. And he goes, you're doing great, babe. I didn't mean it like that. You are doing so good. And I was so mad. I've never been so mad in my entire life. I've never been so mad in my entire life. What do you think I've been doing for 4 fucking hours?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh man.
That was so
is
fun.
So funny.
Mm-hmm. So many blessings, Hayli, many blessings that you have a smooth, look at it. What's the trade-off, right? I had a really easy pregnancy and a super shitty delivery. You had a super shitty pregnancy and you're going to have just an angelic delivery. That's a trade-off, you know?
I mean, I want that to be the case, but I also feel like, I don't know. I feel like I got, again, your stories make me feel very grateful that my experience was a lot
2 weeks
not
before
like
labor,
that.
by the way, I had a kidney stone. So, hey-o.
38 weeks was when your kidney stone happened?
Yeah.
God. Yeah. I mean, it just makes me realize that I did get very lucky with Hazel, but man, I originally I was like on naivety, right? I was like, oh, I had such an easy pregnancy with her. Like, this one's gonna be just as easy. I'm just really good at being pregnant, right? That was my thought. I was like, my body just knows what it's doing. And then this one came around, and it's been like, oh no, every single symptom that I had with Hazel is like fivefold. It's just that much worse, between like the morning sickness, the heartburn, the acid reflux, the pain, all of it. And so part of me is like, I'm too scared to be optimistic about labor. I just feel like it's gonna suck because the rest of the pregnancy has sucked. I'd like to believe that the universe works in fair ways and is like, oh, you had a hard pregnancy, easy labor, that everyone pays their dues somehow. But I just feel like I'm just gonna keep paying, dude. I feel like I'm just gonna keep paying whatever I owe until the kid is out. And then Hazel was so great with breastfeeding and with, like, she was never colicky. She was just a really easy baby. She slept really well. And I'm like, oh, so that means that he's just going to be a fucking nightmare. Like, that's how that works, right? The first one's easy and the second one, at least that's what everybody always likes to say, is that the second one is worse. Oh, yeah, let's not mention the 9-pound baby. The fact that he's going to be so much bigger. A full inch of hair, by the way. Full inch. So we'll see. But yeah, I did not have acid reflux with Hazel the way that I have had it with this baby. Like, have you ever had acid reflux?
Oh, I did. I had acid reflux. Not to the same degree that you had it, but I 100% did.
I mean, it's to the point where, like, so I didn't get it last night, but the night before. I've been asleep for 1 hour, and I wake up, and it is literally acid up my throat, like all the way up, and I can't breathe. Like, I literally
you want to know
breathe.
why though? It's because your baby's so much bigger, so your stomach has so much less room.
Is that why?
It's part of it. Yeah.
Like, it's more.
So what happened? Like, Google what your stomach looks like when you're pregnant. So your stomach normally is like this, and then when your baby gets bigger, it gets pushed all the way up and like stretched out into this very thin thing right by your esophagus. So that's why the little flap opens up so much more, and all of the acid comes back up your esophagus.
It says, as your baby grows, your uterus gets bigger. It can crowd your stomach and push acid upwards, push stomach acids upward into your esophagus. That's why heartburn is more common during the third trimester, the last few months of pregnancy. The baby and uterus are biggest than crowding your other organs.
Yup.
It's just, it's miserable. Like, I woke up at 1 a.m. and immediately got up and like ran to the bathroom because I was coughing so hard. I was like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, I'm actually gonna throw up. And then I won't get into the nitty gritty details because I don't want to gross out chat. But like, poor Rick, right? He wakes up and he's like, what's going on, right? Like, because I'm in tears. Like, I'm sobbing. Because every time you cough, you're coughing up bile. Like, you're literally coughing up acid.
Mine was not that bad.
Oh yeah, that was 2 nights ago, and then I had it a week before that. So I have 5 weeks left, and I'm like, I swear to God,
The last month was the hardest.
If I get acid reflux like this the rest of the time I'm pregnant, I will die. Like, I can't handle it. That I don't know what I'll do. So luckily on Wednesday, I have my next follow-up, and I'm going to talk to my doctor about it and be like, listen, what can I do? Because I'm done. And then I also, don't know if I told you this, but I have a physical therapy appointment on Tuesday with a pelvic floor therapist.
That's going to be super fun.
Should we tell chat what that entails? I'm gonna let y'all Google that, chat.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Google
it.
Google that one.
Because what I'll say is that I've had a lot of pain this pregnancy regarding everything, like pelvic pain, lower back pain, like actually like in every bottom half of my body pain. Okay, and so I talked to my doctor, like to the point where if I'm laying flat on my back, I cannot get myself up because my pubic bone is like on fire. Okay.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And so, and
they call
so
it lightning,
doctor,
chat. Lightning.
Yeah,
Vaginal
but it
lightning.
it wasn't lightning crotch. It was like soreness, like actual.
No,
constant
I had both.
pain.
Yeah. No, I
had
remember
too,
that.
Yeah, I don't get lightning crotch very much, but it was like my doctor. She was like, "Well, we can talk to you about getting a pelvic floor therapist." And Alyssa said it was life changing. She's like, "You
Like
should
walking
absolutely do it."
upstairs is excruciating, right?
Yeah, and so she put her thumb on the area that it hurts, which apparently is made out of cartilage, and because your baby is putting so much weight on that bone or the cartilage, it splits, right? And so it's like cartilage in your nose, right? And so she put her thumb there, and it was like excruciating, and she's like, I can see the look on your face, like you do need to see a physical therapist. So that's happening on Tuesday, and the physical therapist also does diastasis. And my doctor, as I was sitting up, I started coning. Did you ever cone? I don't know if you know what that means. So when you work your abdominal muscles while you're pregnant, if you do it a certain way, your stomach starts to cone a little bit, and that means that you have a split in your abdominal muscles, which is normal.
Abs.
Most women get it. Like, it ends up self-repairing. Your body can only uterus is under your muscles, dude. Like, that's what happens. I have they do it by finger width. So I have a 3 finger width split down my middle. And so supposedly this pelvic floor therapist is also going to help teach me how to like contract my muscles back together.
Yes. So Courtney coned, and so there was like you literally cannot engage your ab muscles at all. So like sitting up from like a laying down position and stuff, you have to stop doing. Like, you have to like roll onto your side.
So there's 2 ways to do it, right? You can contract your abdominal muscles like we're talking, and which leads to coning. But if you contract them like wrapping around your side, so there's actually this girl I follow on Instagram. Her name is Hannah Bauer. She said 2 kids. She has a full guide on like working your core for pregnancy and for like diastasis, and it's called I forget what it's called, but she's amazing. And so she was actually the one who she teaches certain exercises on how to work your abdominal muscles as to not, like, if anything, to help them instead of causing more damage.
Right.
But you're right. Like, now that I'm aware of it, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that I was working those muscles. And so I'll like literally like push myself up from bed with my arms instead of just like working my core. But yeah, the fact that you're not supposed to work your core when you're pregnant, that's actually a myth. You just have to do it in a way that's safe. And so I think that's what the pelvic floor therapist is going to help me with. But yeah, if you're curious to know what that entails, you guys can do a quick Google search on pelvic floor therapy, and it will educate you. And for whoever asked, Hazel was 7 pounds 3 ounces when she was born. And the doctor, just from when she first saw me, she's like, your son is going to be at least a pound bigger. And I was like, 8 pounds 3 ounces though, like, okay, that's not terrible, right? I can make that work. I was 8 pounds 4 ounces when I was born. But then so Shawn Johnson, do you know who Shawn Johnson is? So she and her husband, if you guys don't know, Shawn Johnson is a former Olympic gymnast. She competed in Beijing in 2008. She's amazing. She and her husband, Andrew East, are now influencers. They like have a whole family channel on YouTube. And Shawn is like 4'11", right? Teeny tiny. Just had her son a couple weeks ago, 9 pounds 13 ounces.
Dude, there are people in my chat that were like, oh, I was an 11-pound baby. And I'm like,
wait, actually, I'm conducting a study. Everybody listen up. If any of you were babies who are 9+ pounds, can you tell me how tall you are? Because
or can you tell us if you were late?
It's gonna be big boy.
Were you late?
What?
When you were born, chat? Were you like a week late?
Too. Yeah, if you were over 9 pounds.
Because I'm pretty sure if I had done the induction at 39 weeks, he would have been closer to like 7 instead of 8.
Yeah, that could be. I'm 6'1", I'm 5'10", I'm 6'4", I'm 5'10". I was just over 9, I'm 5'6". So Mighty was about a week or so late. 10 pounds 1 ounces, and I'm 6'2.5". 9+ pounds, 6'3".
I was late by a week or so.
Oh, but see, Bree says I was 9 and I'm 5'4", full term at 40 weeks. 9 pounds 3 ounces, I'm now 6'8". I was 3 weeks early. Imagine having a baby 3 weeks early and they were still 9 pounds 3 ounces. You're 6'8"? Holy smokes. My youngest was born at 39 weeks and was 9 pounds, 5 ounces. So it does seem like, no, but then there's people who are 5'6" and 5'4". So generally speaking,
but you and Rick are tall. There's a very good likelihood that baby number 2 is taller, on the taller side, but he's not. I don't think he's gonna be like 6'9". You know what I mean? I think he's gonna be 6'1", 6 feet. But
you forget how tall my dad is. My dad is 6'4" and was a linebacker for USC.
I mean, again, there's a possibility, but I feel like he I don't know if that's gonna. Are you saying because he's 9 pounds, you think he's gonna be super, super tall?
No, I'm just saying there's a likelihood that he will be on the taller side. So, but you never know, right? So, like Rick, for instance. So there's actually an equation. Fun fact, if you guys didn't know, that you can follow, where if you take the height of the mom and the height of the dad, add them together and divide it by 2. So we could actually try this for Cohen, right? If it's you take that number, and if it's a girl that you're having, you subtract 2 inches. And if it's a boy, you add 2 inches. So in that case, Rick and I, ironically enough, are exactly 4 inches apart, right? I'm 5'8", he's 6 foot. So if we do that math, 5'10" is right in the middle. So -2 would put Hazel at my height. +2 would put baby 2 at his height. So if you do that equation, that's how that works out. But like I said, so my dad and his brother were both taller than his parents. Rick, taller than both his parents. So I don't know how much validity there is into that equation. That was what my pediatrician told me with Hazel. But like, if you do that with Cohen,
I'm 2 inches taller than I should be then.
What?
I said I'm 2 inches taller than I should be then, I think.
Are you?
My dad is 6 feet. My mom's 5'2".
So I'm right on the money. My dad is 6'4", my mom was 5'2", and when you do the math there, the middle is, I think, 5'10", right? +6 is 5.
How tall is Rick?
-6. How tall? What? How tall am I?
How tall is Rick?
Rick is 6 foot.
I mean, yeah, like I said, you guys are both tall. You're gonna have tall kids, but like.
We'll see.
What is
I just don't know how much correlation there is to birth weight and
but there is a
height.
correlation with percentiles. Like what is Hazel's percentile right now for height?
I need to take her. She's due for her doctor appointment where they'll tell me.
So,
actually, can I Google it?
I don't know. Probably.
Height percentile calculator. I want to do it for girls. Height percentile calculator. Omni calculator. Okay, so her age, she's 3. She's a girl. She's 39.75 inches. She's in the 91st percentile.
Yeah, so she's tall. But again, I'm average height. Brennan's average height. Cohen is in the 90th percentile for height, so...
Yeah.
He's like 28. He's over 28 inches right now.
And before Cohen's just a freaking basketball player.
That would make Brennan's whole life if that were the case.
That's how Rick feels too. He wants our boy to be like a big boy. What is with that? What is with men who want their kids to just be their boys to be big?
I don't know. Well, specifically, Brennan is obsessed with basketball. So the thought of his kid being a basketball player is like so enticing. Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's a very consistent, like at least among our friend group, where like they want to get into sports and they want to be really big and tall and blah 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 blah. Like even at your house, when we were there the last time. They were all joking about it, like Brennan and Vern and Rick, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, dude, he's gonna be big. He's gonna play sports for sure. Like he's gonna play some football. Like just going in on it." I'm like, all right, like I don't care. He can do whatever he wants, but it's like this mentality where that's what they want for their sons. I have no idea. Yeah, she's 39 3/4 inches. I know because at her school they made her for her birthday. I don't know if I told you this. They laid out a big piece of like brown paper and had all the kids draw her pictures on it for her birthday, and they had her lay down flat on the brown paper, and they traced her outline and they measured her. And so they wrote on there 39 3/4 inches.
That's cool.
And you could literally see like her little shape. And then all the teachers wrote like really nice things about her and, you know, what they love about her, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's such a sweet gift.
That's
but
really sweet.
until I can get her into her new doctor for the first time, that is the general estimate of her height. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, five-ish weeks left, a little over 5 weeks, because the day after Labor Day is my induction date. But then again, you never know. It could get pushed back like yours did.
True. Or you could go into natural labor early.
Well, did I tell you that my doctor said she's going to start sweeping my membranes at 30 weeks? So I'll have a week before. She was like, I'm comfortable doing it. He's a big boy. And if you do go into labor before or during 38 weeks, like, I'm really not worried about it. I'm like, all right, that's fine by me. So
yeah,
I mean, I guess we'll see. Because if 39 weeks is when we want to induce anyway, I think it would be like 39 weeks and 3 days is when the induction date is. So I don't know. It's coming up quick, but I'm fine with that because I'm really done being pregnant. You need to come over and see the nursery. It's almost done.
Well, we're carpooling today, so I can see you today.
Are you coming over or am I picking you up?
I mean, I can come over. Or you could
so you can see it.
Pick me up and then I could see it on the way home. Yeah. We can do that.
Okay. Yeah, our girl Lexi is shopping for her wedding dress today. Ooh. So we get to go watch her. So LOL at us talking for an hour and 40 minutes about childbirth. That sounds like something we do.
Yep.
Should we get into our actual topic of discussion?
Yeah, sure.
So, transitioning. So the way that we do this podcast, for those of you guys who are new, first of all, if you are new, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're in the front page, my name is Haley. I am here with my girl, Steph. I'm pointing over this direction. My screen is over here. You guys can come in and share your thoughts and anecdotes with us in chat. Make sure to come say hi and hit the follow button. But what we do on this podcast is we typically spend the first half just talking about life and whatever's going on with us, whatever's relevant. And then we have a segment where we talk about something very specific. And so for us today, we wanted to talk about what's been going on with Simone Biles. If you guys have been keeping up with the Olympics, Simone Biles is quite literally the greatest gymnast of all time. It's not even close. And she, while in Tokyo, after everything had already gotten started, did one vault for the all-around team competition. And it did not end well. And so she pulled out. And it's been pretty dramatic following everything that's been going on with her, because it hasn't just been, oh, you know, like she broke her ankle, she's injured, she can't compete. It's taken on an entirely different direction of the conversation. It's really put a focus on mental health, because she is saying that what she has is something called the twisties. Are you familiar with that stuff?
I mean, I read about it, yeah.
So I had never heard of this, but so basically what the twisties are for gymnasts are when you launch into the air doing your tumbling, you get lost. You literally cannot tell up from down. And typically when you are doing, you know, whatever it is, a layout or whatever, you have some sense of equilibrium, knowing, okay, I'm currently facing this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And Simone did not have that. And so she was literally in the air with just no direction. She could land on her head, she could land on her hands, she could land on her feet. Like there was no telling up or down.
Well, so she did her vault, her first vault, and she was supposed to do 2.5 turns, and she only did 1.5. And everyone is saying like it is just a display of like her like expertise. She's just such a veteran. She just has so much like instinct when she is doing gymnastics. It's a wonder that she was able to land and stick it the way that she did, because she just quite literally got lost in the turn and came out of it when she could and managed for it to be okay, but she completely did not do the move that was her intention when she started her approach to the vault, which is like terrifying.
So I don't know if you saw this, but Charlie was talking about it in chat, that apparently she had an ADHD medication that was banned in Japan. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or if she was... So this article from Yahoo News, it says Biles withdrew from the Olympic all-around finals over mental health concerns, said it was the twisties. She takes ADHD medication that is not permitted in Japan, but an exemption likely allowed her to bring it. So I don't know if she actually has stopped taking it or not. If anybody can confirm or deny that. Some of it's just, yeah, I don't know if she was actually allowed to take it or not. But it just in general, I mean, I think the conversation has taken a really toxic turn in a lot of ways.
Oh, of course.
It's really interesting because I feel like you and I kind of live in a bubble of people who are like-minded, right?
Yeah.
Like people who understand, okay, mental health is a very real thing. We need to be taking it as seriously as we do physical health, the way that it can affect our lives. You know, championing Simone for being able to take the time to take care of herself.
Yeah,
blah,
but
blah, blah.
with this new evidence, it's not even just like isolated to a mental health thing where like she was feeling the pressure and she just took a step back. There was actual physical ramifications for what she was experiencing. The twisties is not just like in her head, right? She got lost in her turns. And if she had landed on her head, that is a life-threatening injury. So yes, there are the mental health like concerns that she was experiencing, but there is the real, very real physical outcome for why she decided to step back. And the fact that people are being so toxic about it, and it's just everything I'm reading is just so like it's the same like word vomit, right? It's you're doing this for your like you're going to the Olympics for your country. How dare you like take a step back? You sacrificed the team's gold because you couldn't get together. You're so weak. You're so soft. This is what's wrong with America today. This is what's wrong with our kids today, is that none of them have mental toughness. They can't just tough it out. Like when people are depending on them, they feel okay just to like quit and be weak and all this stuff. And that is just so and the frustrating thing on top of all of that is how much Simone has already proven with her mental toughness, right? Competing with a kidney stone. And excuse me, I am exactly the person who can speak to this because I just passed a freaking kidney stone, and there is no shot in hell that I would be landing and executing flawless gymnastic like moves while passing a kidney stone. Like, it's just outrageous that people have the audacity to accuse her of not being tough enough and not just like understanding and listening to her limits that she sets for herself and being respectful of it. I just don't understand that. I don't understand that.
And not even that, but when you look at what she's endured, like outside of even just the kidney stone, right? She was one of Larry Nassar's victims. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Larry, who he is, but for those of you who aren't aware, Larry Nassar was the physical therapist for USA Gymnastics as well as at Michigan State, and he was convicted of sexually assaulting like 150 women or something crazy. All these women who went through to him for physical therapy. He was a doctor, right? And he abused them, and she was one of his victims. And so she has even come out and said how she doesn't feel like she could comfortably retire because she is the last victim of his who is active in elite gymnastics. And if she quits, she doesn't feel that USA Gymnastics will actually ever be held accountable for basically allowing him to continue working there, knowing what he was doing. So there's all that. I mean, and that's the thing is like, I don't know what it is, but there's something to be said about us glorifying people who continue to push themselves when they're injured. I don't understand it. Like the fact that she did all that with a kidney stone, it, to me, is not something that should be celebrated. Like there's no like good for you for pushing through when you clearly needed to not be. Carrie Strug, 1996 Olympics. She competed, and it was in the team all around. She had a broken ankle.
Yeah.
Steph. She did the vault and she broke her ankle.
And she continued.
And she goes back. She's limping. She's like, I can't do it. And you literally see her coach being like, can you get back out there? They need you. Your team needs you. Can you do it? And she does. She's like, okay, I'll do it. And she goes back on vault, does it one more time.
She lands on
one foot. On her, she has to land on one foot because her ankle's freaking broken. And it damaged her ankle so bad she had to retire after that. And mind you, this is the best part. The team won gold, right? America won the gold medal. But they, based on the score, they did not need her score to do it. And so everyone was celebrating Carrie Strug for going out and completing this amazing, like, one-legged vault on a broken ankle. And it's like she shouldn't have been out there.
Yeah.
If you have an injury like that, you sit your ass down.
Well, and the thing is, these Olympians are like, they start out when they're like 18, 19 years old. You know what I mean? Like you get that type of injury and it affects you for the rest
of your life.
Like shattering your ankle like that, one, breaking it, and then like putting so much more undue stress on an already broken ankle. It's permanent damage. Like there's no way that she's like not 45 and like struggling on a daily with her ankle. And it's not like a hip replacement. You can't just like replace your ankle bone, you know? It's just
It's very frustrating when, like, I think as a country we've taken the narrative of like mental health matters and validating people regardless of, you know, if they need the time to whatever it is that they're dealing with mentally, then they take it, right? We don't judge people or thinking that they're just weak or not tough enough. Like that's a very toxic mentality, right? And so it's not even just Simone at this point, right? Naomi Osaka, she was in headlines a couple months before this because she was competing in the French Open. And after she competed, it's standard practice for the athletes to come out and do a press conference. And for those of you who don't know Naomi Osaka, she's an amazing tennis player, right? She's competing for Japan at the Olympics, but she resides in America. And she was like, no, I don't want to go out there. Like I do bad in these settings. I don't want to talk to anybody. And the French Open literally said, if you don't go out there and speak to the press, you cannot compete. And she was like, okay, and pulled out. She's like, I'm not doing it. Like this whole like
forcing you to do something you're not comfortable with.
I also feel like we as a collective society, for whatever reason, feel entitled to these athletes' performance and their entertainment. Like the people who seem to be the most angry about Simone not competing are the people who wanted to watch her perform, as if they are owed a performance by her. Like she doesn't owe you anything, actually, right? And so I'm glad that, you know, between Naomi and Simone, these are not just women, but Black women who are standing up and are like, I'm done letting you guys have any kind of like entitlement to my time or my performance. It's
or
their body.
Her body or her mental
it's literally
health.
Their bodies. And ultimately, like people, especially with gymnastics, dude, people forget how dangerous it is. Mm-hmm. It's not as simple as just like going and doing cartwheels and handsprings. Dude, Simone is doing twists and flips 3 times while in the air. And if you land wrong, you could literally be paralyzed. And
or die.
Like, I could either go out there and try and perform with the twisties and end up forever life altering myself with a terrible injury just to make other people happy, or I could not. It's not a hard decision. And so that's why it's frustrating for me when I see people who are just shitting on her, right?
But it's the other frustrating thing is she's already, like, if you really are that type of masculine mentality, she's already freaking proved herself to you. She has
So many
already
times.
proved herself over and over and over again. We have all seen how tough she is. If she is pulling back and saying no, then that should clue you in on the reality of what is happening. And honestly, I feel like a lot of this, like a lot of the influencer personalities who are like talking on their shows and like accusing her of all this stuff, I it feels like it's more ragey clickbait than it is actually like, and that's even more disgusting, right? That you are trying to profit off of this toxic rhetoric where you crucify this young woman for making the best decision for her own self. And it's just,
yep.
I don't know. It really
we should get
frustrates
Rick in on
me.
that conversation. He could say a lot about that. That's like his pet peeve is people who know better but intentionally go out on national television and spew an entirely different and false and BS rhetoric just to get views and just to make money. Like that,
yeah,
because
it's all for the bit.
Not are you just ignorant, but you are aware of what you're doing and you're intentionally doing it to profit.
But that's not being ignorant. That's not ignorance.
That's what I'm saying. You're not ignorant.
Right.
You know what you're doing, right? You can't use the excuse.
That's you being intentionally evil.
They don't believe it. Exactly. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Especially with the vaccine. Like a lot of these people who are preaching, oh, the vaccine, don't let the government take your freedom, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? They're vaccinated.
Yeah.
The people who are telling you not to get vaccinated actually are vaccinated
and
themselves.
Those people that were originally telling you not to get vaccinated all of a sudden are telling you to get vaccinated.
Oh yeah, weird how that works. Oh, it's actually, now the Delta variant's here. Now we have to get
vaccinated. Now that
like,
we're really worried about our base.
Vaccinated before, this wouldn't have been such a big issue. Like, oh my God. But the point is, right, exactly what you were saying as far as like when you go out and you use other people's suffering as an opportunity to grow your own brand or to profit or to spread just for the
soundbite
that benefits nobody. Yeah, and that's so like the Charlie Kirk is a perfect example, right? He's a conservative dude who talks a lot of bullshit, and he went and called Simone Biles a sociopath.
Literally, like use a dictionary, dude.
Sociopath.
Use a dictionary.
Do you know what that word means? And so when you say things like that, it's like, I tweeted this the other day. I'm like, how's it possible, explain this to me, that people can go on live television and lie and have no repercussions whatsoever? I don't understand it. Like Tucker Carlson just went out and said that Fauci created COVID. Excuse me? Like just spewing things that are flat out lies. And they get away with it because people like Fox News will be like, oh yeah, well, it's just for entertainment. Like no one would actually take them seriously. They're not actually reporting news. It blows my mind. There's so much reform that we need when it comes to things like this, because it really shows how capable, first of all, how susceptible we are as a society to hearing things and just assuming one thing or another without actually having concrete evidence of it. But we need to be able to hold people accountable. Like, you shouldn't be able to just go on television and lie. I don't care if you think you're having like an entertainment show or if it's an actual news show. You should not be able to go on and just lie. And it's infecting it's frustrating because it circles back to like kind of, I was talking about this before we started the podcast about how like COVID's getting really bad again and how we're like trying to figure out what the game plan is if we have to go back into lockdown. And it's like, you and I, Steph, we did our part, right? We stayed home, we got vaccinated, we wore our masks, we social distanced, we followed the rules. And this big group of people, like 30% plus, who didn't, because of this group of people, like now we're regressing again. And so it's frustrating when we've done what we were supposed to do to get out of this pandemic. And now, like, you know what I mean? Like, what more? We have to start all over again because people like Tucker Carlson were going on and spewing BS about not getting vaccinated.
Wait, can I define sociopath really quick? Because it's actually super funny to me.
Yes.
It is a person with antisocial personality disorder who tend to lie, break laws, act impulsively, and have a lack of regard for their own safety.
No.
Which is kind of indirect contradiction for what she's doing when she's saying I have body and what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Autonomy, thank you. And saying, no, no, thank you. I would like to protect myself mentally and physically. But no, she's a sociopath who's not a patriot because she doesn't want to, possibly injure herself for America.
Well, and that's why I'm hoping, like, here's the thing. When you are a public personality of any kind, and you and I think can relate to this, even when there is an outpouring of love and support, we still, because we're human, tend to still pick up the negative comments that are out there, right? That's just, it's just natural. Like, I hate it, and we shouldn't do it. We should be appreciating all the people who are kind, and not to say that we don't, but, like, it doesn't mean that we see those mean comments and it's just in one ear and out the other, right? To me, at least, it still affects me to some degree.
You wouldn't be human if it didn't.
I'm hoping that Simone, she, sees the people who are spewing this BS, like Charlie Kirk and Piers Morgan and all these, super right-wing people, and is not actually feeling the need to explain herself to them, because that's not her job. It's her body, it's her health, and she's gonna make the best decision for her. And she doesn't owe anyone shit. Like, that's what it comes down to.
I'm so curious if it would be different if it was a male gymnast or something that was competing and decided to step down. Like, I know that, like, gymnastics, like male gymnastics, doesn't have the same, I feel like it's not as popular, hasn't have the same, like, draw to female, like, gymnastics in the Olympics, but I don't know what, like, an equivalence would be.
Well,
like Michael Phelps. What if Michael Phelps was just like, hey man, I can't do it right now. I don't want to swim for the team, the relay or whatever. Would people just, like, crucify him?
I feel like yes. And for a number of reasons. I think if anything, men get hit a lot harder with the mental health thing than women do because of toxic masculinity. They're expected to be held accountable to a certain standard of being able to perform. And so, and actually Michael Phelps, I don't know if you know this, but did come out and support Simone Biles in her decision, right? But then there's also, if we're using swimming as the equivalent, it's kind of tough because the danger involved in gymnastics, I don't think is on the same level compared to swimming. That's right? True. Like, you're not flying through the air and potentially landing on your neck when you're swimming.
But like, you could miss your turn and then smash your head into the wall. I've heard that as like a thing that happens in the water. Yep. You're right.
So I don't know. I think if anything, it would probably be hit even harder if it were.
Do you remember what about this Piers Morgan comment? Do you remember what he said?
You can find out.
What did he say? I'm gonna look it up. He had a really nasty thing to say about her.
Are, quote, mental health issues now the go-to excuse for any poor performance in elite sport? What a joke. Just admit you did badly, made mistakes, and will strive to do better next time. Kids need strong role models, not this nonsense. Wow. That was his tweet.
You can either listen to a snowflake Twitter or listen to me. You're a great champion. Great champions get back on their feet when they are knocked down. So re-engage in these games, win gold, inspire with the power of resilience, not resignation. Go for it. Yikes. I just called her a snowflake. Imagine.
No, Simone Biles calls herself the greatest of all time, but no GOAT would quit on their teammates like that, costing them an Olympic gold medal. That's the thing, is that did she cost them an Olympic gold medal by not competing? Or did she save them from not medaling at all because had she competed, she would have done so badly? Like, we can't think like that. I'm sorry, do you have like a crystal ball, Piers? Do you know what would have happened if she'd competed? Because what if she'd competed and broken her ankle? What if she competed and if you watch, Steph, if you watch how she did in the trials and the events leading up to it, she was off, dude. Like, on floor, she completely flew off the mat entirely on one of her landings during her performance. Like, she was not in the right headspace. You can see it on her face. So that's why it's frustrating me when that's the rhetoric that gets spewed, because no one knows what would have actually happened. Yeah. If anything, her team could have placed silver versus not placing at all had she competed with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So get back out there, Simone. You're a great champion, not a quitter. My column. As if anyone wants to read what you have to say. Like, what?
I have a
there's
special
nothing
guest.
heroic or brave about quitting because you're not having fun. You let your teammates down, your fans, and your country. That's just a terrible thing to say. And I think he's just one of those people that same thing tends to have the same mentality. Hi, Coco. Did he just wake up?
Yeah. Oh, you giving me a hug? Oh, okay.
Oh,
Please get up here. Hi, bug.
Mommy hugs.
Hi, baby.
Now I want to bring Hayes up here to say hi.
Who's that? Who's that, Auntie
Hi,
Haley?
handsome boy.
Is that Auntie Haley? Hi, baby.
I don't know what monitor I'm on. I don't know if you can see me.
He can see you, but he's looking at my keyboard.
He seems really snuggles today.
He has been really snuggles with teething.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Oh.
Imagine coming in my chat and being anti-vax, lol. Can't relate, dude. I know, I think so too. I know. Now all my Canadians are talking smack because Canada and the US are playing on Monday in soccer. Or not soccer. Yeah, for the women's team, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Guess we'll have to wait and see. I have a lot of Canadians in my chat right now.
Did Canada lose to... Who did Canada lose to? Didn't they lose to someone recently? Woman.
In soccer?
Soccer. Yeah.
Does anyone know the answer to that? Shout out to the queen of distance swimming, Katie Ledecky, with a 3-peat in the 800. Yeah, that's right. Did you hear about that?
Mm-mm.
3 Olympics in a row now, Katie Ledecky has taken gold in the 800 meter. For swimming.
Wow.
She is badass. We love her. At least the refereeing is decent this time. Following Steph's comment, look at Piers Morgan's response to Ben Stokes, English cricket, who is going on indefinite leave, tour for mental health. Oh God, it's just probably just gonna make me mad. Thank you for the bits, Pie. So is it just me, or is that like the fastest podcast in the world?
Yeah, that went by really fast.
It went by so fast. Well, I think it's also because you and I are very passionate about certain things. We talked about 2 things we care a lot about today.
That's true. But it,
That's
you don't even have to be. You shouldn't even have to be passionate about the Simone Biles stuff, though. It should just be common human decency. It's not. It's to think that you are owed something. To think that anyone is owed something. It's just absurd. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Does this get posted anywhere after? Yes, it goes up on Steph's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys would like to watch any of our past shows, they are all up on her page. So you can go to her. Is it just youtube.com/funstuff?
Yes, that'll
Is that
take
your
you
channel?
there. Mm-hmm.
There you go. So you guys can find all of them. And on the VOD, of course.
Yeah, but
yeah,
but
you're right. You shouldn't have to be have to be passionate about it.
Someone goes, some people are upset because a lot of people would have loved to have the spot that she took. You act like there are not people who are on the U.S. Olympic gymnast team who are not alternates, who did not already.
Well, let's talk about that because I thought the same thing. Turns out that the alternates, once trial, or not trials, but once the actual competition began, all the alternates went home, right? So the only people who are there to replace her are her current teammates. And so the way that they do it for the individual events, I was just reading about this morning, is so they have events for vault, events for beam, floor, and uneven bars. And so they take the top 8 athletes, right, who make it, and they take 2 maximum from each country to compete in that specific event. So America had 2 people competing in each event. Simone qualified for all 4. But if there is, uneven bars is a perfect example. Simone actually did pull out of the uneven bars. Aside from her and Suni Lee, none of the other Americans made the top 8. And so they actually end up taking somebody from another country to take that place in the spot. So for uneven bars, it's actually going to be a French gymnast who is taking Simone's spot. But for vault, this is actually a really cool anecdote. Thank you. So Michaela Skinner, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she was an alternate in 2016. She's a veteran gymnast. She's 24, from Arizona, actually. And she only qualified for the Olympics as an event specialist, but she technically made the team. But when it came down to vault, her teammate Jade Carey beat her score. So it was like Simone was first, Jade was second, someone else was third, Michaela was fourth. But because you can only have 2 gymnasts of each country competing in it, she did not get to compete in vault. That was the only event that she could qualify for. So she went all the way to the Olympics and didn't get the chance to compete for a medal. And so, not that we are happy Simone's pulling out, but one thing that is coming from that is Michaela thought she was done. She thought she was like, I'm retiring. I'm no longer doing gymnastics after this. It's been the best opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Simone pulling out means that Michaela does get that spot. And so she actually does get to compete for a medal for her final, like.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so she's very excited. She's like, all right, it looks like I'm putting on a competition leotard one more time. So
I saw that
I do
tweet.
feel really happy for her for that opportunity. But yeah, it turns out that.
Is that standard for all Olympics?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, all the events.
Like just
every event has different
games
different
in
rules.
general. So like, had this been in the U.S., said the Olympics were in the U.S. right now, and Simone pulled out, even if someone had qualified, it doesn't matter. Like you can't pull.
Qualified, so it has to be in the top 8. If there was another American who was in the top 8, that American would take that spot.
Okay.
But if the other gymnasts who are in the top 8 are from other countries,
but doesn't that kind of negate this argument though, that someone says some people are upset because someone else would have loved to have her spot, but there are other women who tried to qualify for that spot and did not make it in the top 8, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So they wouldn't, even if Simone had never competed in that event, not another American would not have qualified, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially, yes.
So
well, not necessarily. We wouldn't know, because if Simone hadn't competed and somebody else had
maybe it was at the 11th spot or whatever.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
You can theoretically make that argument, but there's no guarantee. It's not like Simone doesn't compete and then suddenly somebody else qualifies from America. That's not how that works. Like, it would have to be somebody who is good enough to take that spot. So for vault, it would have been Jade and Michaela had Simone not done it. And so Michaela would have had that spot either way. But now that Simone pulled out, Michaela still gets that spot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the rules are so weird. And people are mad about the 2 women per team rule, just because it's so dated. Like, why do we need to limit it to 2 per country to be able to compete? Like, it should be the best of the best. So that was another reason people were super upset about Michaela not having her opportunity, because she came 4th. Like, but because 2 of her teammates did better than her,
right,
she didn't get the chance to do it. So that's more of the issue, I think.
When does she compete?
When? Tonight.
Oh.
So we'll be asleep, because I think it's at let's look in the morning.
But we'll see the replay tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think so. So do you know what time, chat? Vault Olympics. So I need to look at the schedule, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be tonight. So I want her to medal so bad. I really want that.
4:52 a.m. Yes, I will be asleep. I'll watch the highlights.
If it really is 4:52 in the morning, well, it would. I think that's probably Eastern time. So even still, 2 a.m. My ass is sleeping, dude. I'm way too tired for that shit. What?
I said, yeah, I'll be slipping.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about this Olympics, is because of the time change. It makes it hard to
Yeah, Brennan was complaining.
I was reading that viewership has been really, really low this Olympics purely for that reason.
Well, Brennan was complaining because he was trying to watch U.S. against Iran, I think, for baseball, and they just completely skipped over 5 innings where all of the home runs were hit. So he's like, I didn't even get to. And he just watched the last, and this was whatever playback they were doing on the official channel, and they're just like, why would you not show the 5 U.S. home runs, right? It's so random. So
it's very weird.
Yeah,
it looks like women artistic gymnastics women's vault final 1:52 in the morning is when it will be happening. And sure enough, Michaela Skinner and Jade Carey, they're on the list. But I don't know if you heard, Rebecca Andrade from Brazil, she came silver medal in the all-around. She's the first person to bring a medal to Brazil in women's gymnastics.
Well, there's a lot of firsts. So the Philippines won their first gold ever in the history of the Olympics with a professional weightlifting
Yes, I did hear about that.
win. Yeah. Which is really
That's
cool.
so exciting.
Oh my God, it was so emotional. Her win was so emotional. Everyone just freaked out.
I've been seeing a lot of those, like just those moments, or even there was
and Suni Lee's the first Asian American to ever win gold, right?
And then the Australian swimmer. Oh no, she was from South Africa. She broke an Olympic record in swimming yesterday, and her reaction is everything. You see her look at the scoreboard and do the math and see how fast she went, and she just starts sobbing. And all the other teammates around her from like US and from South Africa all just like swarm her, and they're like hugging her. And I will say that this Olympics, I've seen so much positive sportsmanship from all the countries who are competing that it makes my heart really happy, including in gymnastics too. Like you saw Angelina Meliknova, I think her name is. She's from Russia. And you hear the USA team like cheering her on as she's on the balance beam, like, you got this, Angelina. Like, I just think that's really cool, right?
But as it should be. These are other people. Like one, it's so lonely to be the best of the best, right? You literally give up everything, your whole life, morning, afternoon, night. When you're not training, you're watching your highlight videos. When you're not doing that, you're doing a million other things. Your whole life is dedicated to this one thing. To me, other like-minded people who have the same drive, the same passion, the same, why wouldn't you want to cheer on those people who have decided to also dedicate their lives to this thing that means literally the world to you? It's just,
well, and it's so isolating being in such a select group of people who have done that it makes sense that you would want to at least make it an inclusive group of people.
Absolutely.
And not feel like yes, you're competing against each other, obviously, but that doesn't mean that you have to like isolate yourself and not talk to certain people and not be supportive of each other. Because guess what? You cheering on another person is not going to make or break whether or not they beat you. Like, that's just not how that works.
Right.
And it's silly that people think otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like it is different in like a team sport. If someone like does something shady or whatever, like I've definitely been competitive where you are just like, nah, that's bullshit. But it's not the same when you're cheering someone on, especially if it's an individual like thing like gymnastics, you know what I mean, where they're doing their own floor routine. Their routine has no impact on your outcome for what you do personally, So
yeah, you're right. Thinking of it that way is really important, because it's true. Like if I go out and I nail this routine, like that's my score. And so it's not like, I mean, the only way that really makes a difference is like for Suni, with the all around, it was so close between her silver and bronze that there was the opportunity that if Rebecca Andrade had nailed her routine,
right,
she may have taken gold, but she stepped out of bounds twice. And so because her score wasn't high enough, that's Suni ended up with the gold. So like, for the most part, though, it's true. It's based on you and you alone, right?
Yeah, but Suni didn't make her step out of bounds, right? So, like,
True.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you go, hey, congratulations.
I did my best, and that was all I could do, and this person did better, and that's that. There's only so much that's in your control. So, I'm just happy for Suni. Her reaction was so cute.
Her whole family's reaction was so just like, family. Gosh, she got a lot of people in her corner, huh? There's like a whole room full of people.
Well, it reminds me of the girl from Alaska. There was a swimmer from Alaska who hit the gold medal. I don't remember which race it was, but who swims in fucking Alaska, bro? Like, and so she's from this tiny little town, and you see the cameras on her family all watching her, and they lose their minds when she wins. And seeing their reaction the second you see that she's the winner. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. She was like 17. She's super young. And so like seeing that joy come from people who are just cheering on their family members and being their support crew. Oh my God, it makes my heart so freaking happy.
It is so crazy to see these kids that are so... I was watching women's volleyball, and it was Russia versus China. And like, the Russians are giants. They are so... tall, and there's this one like striker who is just nailing these spikes, dude. She's just like full on yeah, and just like acing every time. And they're like, oh, and whatever her name is making it look so easy. Mind you, she's 16. And I'm like, shut the front door. She's just like casually one of the best like offensive players on their volleyball team, and she's 16.
Well, and it's funny because I don't know if you heard about this, but did you hear about I think it was Norway, their handball team? What ended up happening with them?
Mm-mm.
They got fined because they didn't want to wear bikini bottoms and they wanted to wear shorts instead.
Shut up.
Yes. And so Pink, the female artist, came out and paid their fines.
Aww.
And was like, that's ridiculous. And it I think one thing that we've noticed this Olympics is that a lot of the rules that are still in place are extremely dated and sexist. And even the Sha'Carri Richardson situation, like the fact that if you smoke marijuana, you can't compete in the Olympics as if it's a performance enhancing drug like a steroid. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's just, the Olympics has a lot of reform that they need to do with the rules. And the biggest one, though, really is you're going to fine people because they won't conform to your sexist standards of showing your ass instead of wearing shorts while playing in a competitive sport. Like, how old is that rule?
The fact that rule is even instated in the first place.
Yep.
Sick.
Yep. You're seeing a lot of that. And even, I think it was the German gymnastics team that came out and wore full unitards instead of standard leotards. And they were doing it like in support of people who feel objectified wearing,
What country?
Leotards. Germany. Because it's like, it's very objective. A lot of people feel objectified apparently.
Oh, they do. It's full on.
Mm-hmm. Full body unitards.
Wow.
Yep. I wonder if that makes it harder to compete. Man, in Brazil, players in Brazil look like double height. Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I can't imagine it would make it harder.
The height difference? I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch, so I don't know. U.S. Olympic fencers wear pink masks to protest against teammate accused of sexual assault. There were a lot of... Because there's a rule in the Olympics that you're not allowed to protest, like, any political movement while you're there. But people still found ways to do it. Like, there was I think a Brazilian performer. Was it gymnastics? It might have been. Who, on her floor routine, she held her fist up to support Black Lives Matter. And so she didn't get in trouble for that because it was technically part of her routine. Aww. So people were finding ways to incorporate protesting in ways that were like sidestepping the rules a little bit.
Right. Because she already submitted that routine with that move in it.
Oh, she performed it. Yeah. She full on performed it live at the Olympics. So, yeah, I wonder what it will take for us to really see a difference in some of these rules over, the course of the next 2 and 4 years. I don't know. The Olympics have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
It'll take is the viewers, right? If their viewership is affected, because at the end
viewership has been terrible this Olympics.
But that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, the Olympics is still a money making business, right? So
and it's not even just the Olympics, but also like the like NBC, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So they were charging ridiculous sums for people to advertise during the Olympics.
They were charging ridiculous sums to watch it live. Brennan had to subscribe to Peacock. He had to sign up for Peacock, which is like NBC's like app, whatever.
Their streaming service,
in order to watch certain sports that he wanted to watch.
I borrowed my in-laws' cable login because they have cable, and if you have a certain service provider, you can get it for free. But viewership is down 32%. Well, so NBC sells these commercial ads guaranteeing a certain number of views. And if they don't get those views, NBC is obligated to continue showing those ads outside of the Olympics in order to get them those views. So viewership down 32%. Like, if anyone's getting the short end of the stick there, it's NBC.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But, I mean, will it actually... you can attribute it to a lot of things. All the political stuff that's been happening regarding the Olympics, or the fact that it's in Tokyo and it's middle of the night for America, and so we can't really watch it. Or I don't know. I don't know if that will make a difference or not. But advertisers paid $1.2 billion. That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
So much money. So I know a lot of people were protesting the Olympics and saying they weren't going to watch. 32% is a lot to be down viewership-wise. So
I guess we'll find
see.
out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
All right, my love. We are 21 minutes over, and I have to pump.
You got to pump, and
I
you got to go to the store, and then we got to go dress shopping. We got stuff to do.
That's true. That is true.
Do you want to come over at like, I don't know, like 2:15?
Well, we should leave by 3. Oh, no, 2:30.
We have to be there at 3.
Yeah, so we should leave by 2:30.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll say if you want to come here so you can see the nursery, and then I can drive us.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
Okay. That works for me. All right, chat. We're going to wrap it so Steph can go. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to stay live. I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer with you guys. We're going to do some sub games. But if you guys don't already follow me or follow Steph, both of our @s are there. Mine's right here. And we are in a squad stream right now, so you guys can come check us out. Hit the follow button. Yeah, this is we usually do this on Thursdays. I know today's Saturday. We had a front page spot today, so which is why we're live. But every Thursday, come check us out.
11 a.m. Pacific.
11 a.m. Pacific time. We love doing this with you guys. It's a lot of fun. So
thanks
for
you.
tuning in and hanging out with us.
We love you.
All right, my love. I will see you in a little bit.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right. Bye.